Once again, for those just tuning in to qualifying day number 1 for the 4th stop on the ISU Short Track World Tour, competition has been delayed. Some of the transportation has been affected, delaying the arrival of some of the athletes. So we are told that competition will begin no earlier than 12 noon local time. That is about just over 20 minutes from now. So we will try to keep you updated as we hear any information. But for now, we are in a delay, so we'll see you soon. Just an update for those of you watching at home. Competition will begin at 12:10 local time, and so that is about half an hour from now, just over half an hour. And so we do have a confirmed start time of 12:10 local time, and so we will be ready to go. We'll be joining you then. But once again, in about 31 and a half minutes from now, competition will get starting from here in Dordrecht.
1-2 test.
The party is just getting started inside the Optisport in Dordrecht, Netherlands. Qualifying day number 1 for stop number 4 on the ISU Short Track World Tour. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for your patience. We are ready to go to get competition underway. Alongside me back this weekend is Tyler Dara. Now, Tyler, it's qualifying day, but for so many skaters, it's crunch time. It comes down to Olympic qualifying this weekend. One good weekend, one good day, and they could find themselves going for Italy. What are skaters going through right now?
Well, some skaters, Gavin, are on the outside looking in of qualifying for the Winter Olympic Games. So this is the make or break it day for a lot of skaters trying to get through to those top World Tour rounds where they're going to gain maximum points to position themselves in the Olympics. So a lot at stake. We're going to see how that kind of is impacting their racing, their strategies. Are some skaters going to be racing a little bit more desperate, trying to qualify through? Of course, they don't want to take penalties. They could still earn a way through in the repechage, but I think we'll be watching to see skaters take some chances because this is their last shot if they're on the outside.
And there are some skaters who have had good weekends, and there are some skaters who maybe are warming into the season, but as we've seen, all it takes is one good weekend, one good trip into a repechage semifinal, or even find your way into the World Tour, and you could be thinking about those Olympic rings.
Absolutely. It could be that one big result, like you said, Gavin. You always got to have hope as an athlete. You always got to believe in yourself that there's still a chance to go through and make that happen this weekend.
You saw the schedule. Our officials are out on the ice. It is Balázs Kover. He did weekend number 1 in Montreal. Michel Dumont, who was our official referee last weekend, also there out on the ice. And so the program for the morning is the women's 1,000-meter preliminaries and then the men's 1,500-meter heats. And then we will continue on later on with the heats, and there's also going to be some relays as well. It's always just about a bit of everything on qualifying day. And there you go. The graphic is up for the women's 1,000-meter preliminaries. 8 heats in all. First and second place skaters from each race, and up to 4 fastest third place skaters will qualify for the heat. And so it's never easy to predict these ones. Sometimes the racing is clean, often the racing is clean, but last weekend was one weekend where we saw some distances that had plenty of advancements, and so we never know what to expect.
And that might be a little bit of that pressure building for skaters to make things happen. And again, I think we might expect to see some of that this weekend here. And not only is it the final event for qualifications to the games, it's the final stop of the World Tour where we're looking to crown our Crystal Globe champions. So a lot at stake this weekend.
And so it is just the 2. It's the 1,000-meter preliminaries for women, the 1,500-meter heats for men, and that takes us into the lunch break. And the first heat skaters are in the heat box, about ready to come out onto the ice. It's an interesting setup here around the 2 straightaways. There aren't a lot of seats, but on the end of the ice, there's just this big, almost like cop-style single grandstand that is packed of kids right now. You get a look at your screen, and ticket sales have been pretty high for the weekend in particular, that they've actually added extra grandstands. It's an interesting venue. There's, as the Optisport name implies, there are plenty of facilities. There's swimming, and this facility has a second level where there's actually a long track speed skating oval around the outside, but that's where they put a lot of the stands this weekend. And so shoehorned in here quite nicely. They've gotten used to this. They've hosted plenty of international events. Dordrecht is ready to go.
Well, if you're lucky enough to have a lounge pass down there, you're right trackside. You're in the heat of the action down at the ice level.
If there is an incident there, you could have some skates coming up right there. So it's a little bit removed, but you are literally right onto the action. There's a look at Ariana Fontana. She is back. She is healthy. She just did the Long Track World Cup in Calgary, where she was part of the Italian women's team pursuit side. So despite picking up an injury for Montreal weekend number 2, she is back here competing. But since she has not been competing last weekend, she will be going through the preliminary rounds. You saw the start list up there. There's Ariana Fontana. There's Tineke Dendalk right there. Watanabe Aoi, Diana Michalchuk, and Holly Hoyland. So first race of the day features an Italian gladiator, an supremely accomplished Italian gladiator, Belgian Ice Bear, Japanese Ninja, Ukrainian Wildcat, and a British Royal. So many skaters. The pressure is mounting. I look at a skater like Watanabe, who is on the front right now. World Tour #1. She was 31st in the 1,000, 21st in #2. She did not skate this race last weekend. They will throw out, when they do all the calculations, they throw out your worst result. But when you have a 31st and a 21st, Tyler, you're looking good for top 32, but...
Well, she's currently ranked 29th in the Olympic qualifying classification. Tineke Dendalk is 35th, and you got to be top 32. And we're also looking at those as country spots, not just individual skaters. But as we know, with the Belgian Ice Bears, Hannah de Smit's got that first position locked up. So Tineke Dendalk is looking to qualify herself through.
And it is Watanabe right now. Michalchuk is on the back. Watch for the Azzurri. The Gladiator with the black helmet now. She goes around the outside. Fontana is down.
Just loses her footing on that corner. I didn't see any contacts that would have put her down.
One of the blocks was taken with her. And so already fireworks in race #1. And what that might this mean for Dendalk and Watanabe, Hoyland and Michalchuk. One to go, and it really is the front three. Where's the opening for Hoyland? I don't think it's going to find it. It is going to be Tineke Dendalk and Watanabe Aoi moving on. Hoyland will sit and see if a 1:34.75, and so it's not disastrous for Fontana, as you have mentioned, their qualifying team spots, but it just adds an extra calculation to the formula.
Yeah, and she'll have an opportunity to go through the repechage, but you just see losing the left footing. Was her hand that actually had touched the block, but maybe that's an indication of the ice. Let's get another look here. Left foot there, just breaking out. Really unfortunate there for Ariana Fontana, but it really changes the complexion of the race when the lead skater, that top-ranked skater, goes down. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, things are changed here with 3 laps to go.
And results are confirmed. Dendalk, Watanabe are through, and Hoyland will see how that time holds out. And remember, this is just to get through to the heats, and as Tyler also mentioned, repechage is always the second chance opportunity. And remember, when there is a review, the little dot goes up on your screen. That did not happen as Fontana went down on her own. And heat #2 already out on the ice. Valentina Asic, Petra Vankova, Alina Ashgalieva, Hedvig Hilda back on the ice, and Myungbi Jung. Hilda, the Norwegian Viking, had been out. Very hard crash in Montreal. Missed out on last weekend in Gdansk, but now is back and ready to go. As you see, Asic, the Croatian Dalmatian. Vankova, good weekend in the 1500 for her in Gdansk last weekend. For the Czech Ice Spider, Alina Ashgalieva, the Kazakh Nomads, and Myungbi Jung. A look at the German Wolf.
Go. Ready.
So Vankova, a good last weekend, making the B final in the 1500 meters and coming in second in a drama-filled race. And so nothing but good for her 1500 meter Olympic qualification aspirations.
Well, Vankova right now sitting 36th ranked in the 1,000 meters. So she's another one of those athletes that's looking for a big performance in the 1,000 this weekend to move up to the Olympic Games in this event.
When they're qualifying for their country spots, when you're a team of 1 or 2, it's easier to kind of calculate in the end, because you know the spot is likely going to you. We'll see that with the Australian skater in just a little bit, Hyojin Kim, who put in a great performance in the 1,000 meters a week ago. Right now, it's Ashgalieva on the front, but Asic making the move as this thing really picks up.
Ashgalieva doing a tremendous job holding Asic to the outside. Up the inside goes Vankova.
All the way to the lead. Vankova sneaks through it. Will get a review. There may be minimal contact. I saw a little bit of an elbow up by Ashgalieva, but it appears that Vankova snuck in there in time for the corner, but they will review that. It is Asic, Vankova, and Ashgalieva, the three battling on the front right now. And it looks like it will be Valentina Asic who will take this one. And looking all the way down to third, Ashgalieva, 1:35.02. And so that was a little bit slower than heat number one, but as we mentioned, there is a review. And it actually, check that, it's already been cleared.
There we go.
That's the move right there.
Well, just a nice quick jump up the inside for Vankova to take the lead.
We saw a lot of it last weekend. A lot of the reviews were, did they make that inside move in time for the corner? And that one, clearly an indication that she got in, tucked in, barely any contact, and just snuck in there.
Jumping up the inside, really leaning over the blocks, trying to minimize how much space she's taking up to squeeze in to that lead position.
Results confirmed Asa Vankova in second. Maybe a little bit of extra spring in her step after making that B final in the 1500, but confident move from her. And so Ashgalieva will see how 1:35.01 sorts itself out in the end. Heat number 3 coming up. A look at Kamila Selye. She will be the seeded skater in this race, but Katarina Budic of the Croatian Dalmatians is also there. Vastly experienced skater Lisa Eckstein, Leia Popovikova, and Chloe Cameron. So the German Wolf, the Slovakian Ice Deer, and the British Royal. And Popovikova and a lot of these skaters are really just on the fringes of those qualification spots. And so it's going to be, every race is going to mean something.
And everybody will holding their breath afterwards. You got to use your best 3 of 4 results over the course of the World Tour.
Ready.
So a lot of math calculations have to happen following the weekend to then resort all the placings, remove the worst result, and then reformulate them.
It's so good that we don't have to worry about that. But we'll mention that, ooh, what might that mean? The truth, we won't really know until after this weekend. And it is Popovikova. Nice to see the Slovakians enter skaters on the World Tour this year. Got a small couple of skaters entered.
Well, watch Selye from position 4 now, working around the outside.
And now it's going to be a race to tag onto her back, and it's Budic who wins that. But she's not around Popovikova just yet.
Sheeted battled for second position. There are 3 skaters shoulder to shoulder on that corner.
In the end, a great move by Lisa Eckstein to get up into second. It was a real battle. Who wants to sit in that slipstream of the woman who is favored to win this race?
Budic defending third position. You're going to want to eye up that second place, though. You can't rely on that finishing time.
And Budic winding it up on the outside. Still nothing there just yet with inside 2 to go.
Eckstein with a great defensive track here behind Selye, holding that second spot.
And it will be Selye taking it. Eckstein second, a 1:36.73 for Budic. So that is the 3rd fastest of the 3rd place times.
Well, Eckstein, here's a look at that outside. The skater's going shoulder to shoulder there. Popovikova just staying on her feet, doing a great job there, maintaining her footing, but that drops her back. She loses her speed. And Eckstein here in the closing laps, just a very good defensive track pattern behind Selye to hold that second spot.
And So another clean race. I don't think anything really getting reviewed. They do, of course, just double check. There's the review room, which I'm sure you'll see plenty of this weekend. I think last weekend's review room apparently had a couch. Catherine Reuter-Adamek, my analyst last weekend, took a visit in there and said they had a nice little setup in there. I walked by it today, and that's the first thing I looked for, and I did not see one. So the race is on to see who can provide the most comfortable surroundings for our review room to take a break when we resurface the ice. Heat number 4. And that's our first look at a Chinese lung, Gong Li. And then there is Annabelle Green of the British Royals, Svetlana Rapetska of the Ukrainian Wildcats, Eva Grenouillou of the French Roosters, and Tamara Tokarova of the Slovakian Ice Deer.
Go. Start. Ready.
So it's Grenouillou. She jumped out of position 4, trying to get to the front in her first year on World Tour. Just out of juniors from Fontenay-sous-Bois, which is just outside of Paris, 21 years of age, nicknamed Vaba. She has a bronze medal from the 2022 Youth Olympic Winter Festival that came in the 1500. But you see the French side really introducing a lot of younger skaters, building, yes, for 2026, but building certainly for 2030.
Well, Grenouillou staying aggressive, wanting to maintain that lead position. She got dropped back to third there, quickly responded, moved back to the lead. I like to see skaters be aggressive, want to control the race. Don't leave it in anybody else's hands. Grenouillou doing just that, but she's got to make sure she has the endurance to take it to the finish. Don't expend too much energy so you can't finish quickly in the final laps of this race.
Gong Li coming up on Annabelle Green. Annabelle Green living in Calgary, Alberta. They got a pretty large early season snowfall the other day as she makes the move for the lead. I asked her, "Are you glad to be here? You don't have to worry about that?" She went, "Yeah, but then I have to go back to it." But she's off the front. An impressive skate by Green, really known for her starts in the 500 meters, and she and Gong are going away in this one.
Well, Annabelle Green looking in great form here in the 1,000-meter. Typically that 500-meter skater, but solid race from Gong Li and Annabelle Green. And Grenouillou, I was a little bit worried. Maybe she gave it too much, too early. It wasn't going to have it in the finish, and I think that's what we saw there.
So 1:37.9, all clean racing so far, but that is the slowest heat we've had so far. And so Grenouillou, 1:37.93 is that bubble time that we will see if it starts to go by the wayside halfway through the women's 1,000-meter preliminaries.
Another look at that nice, clean outside pass from Annabelle Green to open up that gap. Gong Li just jumping up the inside on that final turn.
If you were wondering, that finish line shot that you just saw, we are just to the right of that. Pretty nice little setup for us right here. We are just about hovering over the finish line, and just a little bit past it, and it's the, well, certainly I think the closest we've been to the ice in our couple of years of doing this. It's I'm not complaining one bit.
Well, they've supplied us with a great heater too, so we're staying warm up here.
A little confused. I'm going in my short sleeves and my sweater and my jacket, but you know, when that's the worst of your complaints, you know, you got to be doing something pretty well. There are the results confirmed. Gong Li taking it. And heat number 5. We'll see Young Jingru, Julie Latai, Lam Qingyan, Betty Muske, and Isabella Caicedo. Latai winning a fantastic sprint to the finish in the repechage semifinal in the 1,000 last weekend.
Caicedo's not out here.
She did not start. She was also originally on a start list in Gdansk, but also did not make the start line. So it is down to 4. Just finishing my thought on Latai. It was a sprint to the finish with Hyojin Kim. Latai taking it by thousandths of a second and moving into the World Tour session.
Ready.
A lot of young skaters on this German side as well. Muske, 22 years old. out of Rostock, which is in the north and east of Hamburg. So she is sitting on the back right now and perhaps winding her way to the front. Not just yet.
Well, Latai working her way up, managing a bit of a block there.
We saw a few times last weekend passes made, and even before they go into the corners, the skaters holding up their hands. That was more of a shrug from Latai, like, what's going on here?
Well, maybe kind of thinking it's a little bit early to be defending that hard for a position when we're one lap into a 1,000-meter. But again, skaters are a little bit more on edge this weekend with what's at stake here. And you talk about Julie Latai having a great result last weekend. We knew she was coming back from injury last season. You want to be peaking. You want to be having good results these final 2 World Tours to go into the games with confidence. So we'll see if Latai is skating with a little bit more confidence after that strong result in the last weekend of the 1,000-meter.
For a lot of these skaters, this is it until the Olympics. The European Championships are in January. That'll be in Tilburg, a venue we know well in the Netherlands, but there's nothing else for those outside of Europe, at least with the top level skaters. And so getting the results, but also sort of staying race fresh, and it is.
Well, Latai's looking for it. She's on the outside, was still building some speed. Might try to shoot for the line here, 2 in.
And it will be Young Jingru taking it. Latai in second. Lam with a third, 135.460. And so that pops her ahead of a couple of times. It does knock Eva Grunuyu's third place time off the lists, though. And again, nothing reviewed, all clean so far.
And a little bit what we talked about was there's going to be some desperation from skaters, but if you take a penalty here, there's a look at that block from Lam on Julie Latai there, going down the straightaway. Latai putting the hands up. What's going on? Give me some space here.
In the end, everybody does get through okay.
There was another, no, we're going to not see the replay on the other tight inside pass from Lam later in that race, but here's another look at the finish.
And so those two are confidently through, and now Lam, we'll see how her time holds up with 3 heats to go.
Well, I was just going to mention that you want to skate aggressive here, but you don't want to take the penalty if you're not going through. You still want to leave that door open to get through that repechage round to make that World Tour event.
And so heat number 6 has Olga Tikhanova of the Kazakh Nomads. I mentioned Hyojin Kim. That result in the semifinals of the repechage, coming second to Latai. She got 22nd place in the 1,000, which is massive when you're looking for a top 32, and she is the only women's racing roux, and so her result is really for herself. Elisaveta Sidorko, Phoebe Stens, and Mirta Mikkelsen. Mikkelsen, Tyler, added last weekend, and so often you and I are used to knowing that there will be Tineke Dendel and there will be Hannah Desmet. And now it's nice to see the Ice Bears giving one of their skaters fresh out of junior a look at the top level.
Well, from what I understand, she's a younger junior skater looking just to gain some experience this season on the World Tour. She has the next quad really in her sights, but she wants to enter that quad with a little bit of racing under her belt so she knows what to expect. So this is just all about the experience this weekend for her.
Elisaveta Sidorko, the 21-year-old. She's got the purple boots. We saw her yesterday skating with a jacket that matched it exactly, and so it was quite the fashion statement out there. As Tikhanova hits the front. Here comes Kim. Goes around Phoebe Stens, who works in finance. Really can only train 1 day a week. The former hockey player works in commodities.
Well, Tikhanova's done a great job responding to that attack from Kim, accelerating the pace. Kim has to relinquish it, step back into third position, and now look for an opportunity to try to get by Sidorko for that second place position with a little bit of a gap there. Just in between Sidorko and Tikhanova. No, not there.
Not there just yet. It is still Tikhanova leading at the bell. Sidorko in second. Kim trying to find a way in now. Is she going to go up for third? There is a bump. Oh goodness. Sidorko went down and her boots went high. Oh, goodness.
I think
And
she
I'm
stayed
just-
clear of the
got-
blade.
she's
She's
got
putting
her
the hand
hands
up. Yeah. Sometimes just the shock of the impact in those incidents just gets your nerves on edge there. Always a little bit scary, but the feet were clear out of the way. Sidorko was able to pull them down a little bit.
For a second there, you get really scared, but once she turned over, got up, you see there was nothing underneath. She put her hand up, I'm okay, but...
Well, got to really appreciate the quick response from the officials as well as the medical team here. The feet come up, just got the right angle from steering clear from that blade.
And so Kim
goes up the inside.
Sidorko goes down, and oh, that was so close.
Yeah. That's when you start thinking that face shield's not a bad idea,
Yeah, I mean, we could chuckle a little bit, but she got through okay. Results are official. Tikhonova took the heat. Mikkelsen does get up for second. It's a third for Phoebe Stens. But yeah, I mean, that'll be reviewed. I imagine there were a few things that we saw there, whether it was contact from behind, possible lane change outside to in.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for as Kim's working her way up the inside. Sidorko there, shifting over, trying to block that inside lane. So we'll watch to see if there's an outside to in lane change from Sidorko. Here's another look. Kim looking up the inside. Sidorko, you can see that double right foot pump down the straightaway and how aggressively she comes across. And that's another look at that close call. But watch the right foot here as Sidorko hits the straight. Right pump again. That's that real shift over on the track.
And then that courted the contact and just off the side of her head. You just take a moment and realize how fortunate that was. But Hyojin Kim, I'm sure bits of life flashed before her eyes. And Michel Dumont, one of our referees, to the ice we go.
Final decision, penalty number 98 from Ukraine, and we have an amendment for number 50 from Australia.
And there you go. So there is a penalty, and then an advancement as well. So the arm block
too. I think you kind of got with either of those. You kind of had dealer's choice on which cut. Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
They're really working that replay today.
And each time
because
in your throat
everyone came out unscathed.
Yeah. And so Sidorko, the penalty there. So it's going to be interesting for her. Some of her best results have come in the 500. She has a 22nd from World Tour #1, does Elizaveta Sidorko. And so she gets the penalty there. Heat number 7, Aurélie Levesque, Rebecca Silitse-Nemeth, Elena Seregina, Tanucea Chataisong, and Amelia Chua.
Ready.
Just mentioning Amelia Chua, the Singapore side, they are off to Thailand not long after. On December 9th, the Southeast Asian Games kicks off around Bangkok. And it's an interesting sort of a motley crew of events. There is short track and figure skating, and then there's the likes of bowling, chess, archery, mixed martial arts. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. Mix of summer and winter sports. Anyway, that's the next plan for the Singapore Gazelles. On the front, though, it is Tanucea Chataisong, who might also be there at the Southeast Asian Games.
Well, I'm keeping an eye here on Seregina. She's currently 33rd. She's the only athlete for the athletes of independent nations. So this spot is hers. She needs to try to move to the top 32 and is currently ranked 33. She's going to want a big result here as she moves up into 3rd position.
And she's up behind Chataisong. It is Aurélie Levesque, skater out of Grenoble. trying to hold them off. Sedagina coming up on Chatai. Song Chua has dropped off the back.
Well, Sedagina looks like she's working to try to build something up here, going around the outside of Chatai Sung. Selitsei Nemeth jumping up the inside too.
And in the end, Selitsei Nemeth gets that inside line. And who takes the heat? It's going to be close for second. Levesque goes first. I don't know.
That was tight. That was very close to the finish.
My gut tells me it was Selitsei Nemeth, but that might have just been skewed by the fact that she had the inside line. But Sedagina made a good reach.
Well, it was a great response from Selitsei Nemeth to jump up that inside as Sedagina was out on the outside, so that inside lane was available here as she jumps into the, but right to the finish. Oh my goodness, I do want to say Selitsei Nemeth, but I need to see a photo on that because it was very close.
So just a reminder, with that one advancement, that knocked out one of the third place times. But it is Sedagina by 9,000ths of a second.
That is a massive result for her to squeak that out at the finish like we talked about. Currently 33rd, top 32, get the Olympic Games qualification. So she's giving herself a shot there.
See her in the heats. Doesn't have to worry right now about time or any of that. Selitsei Nemeth's time not good enough to move on. Last heat has 4 skaters. Another Hungarian Falcon, Sara Lutsa-Bakskai, Nicola Mazur, Malika Yermek, and Anna Jansone, who got her Olympic qualifying campaign a huge shot in the arm when she got an advancement right into the World Tour. I believe that was in the 1500 on
1500.
So on Sunday she was right into the World Tour, which meant really big qualifying boost for her.
Ready.
And she is the lone female Golden Stars entrant from Latvia. And so any qualifying that is earned will more than likely go right to her. And you always wonder when there's a skater who gets that breakthrough result, does that lead to more?
Mazur winding up around the outside, carrying some speed. Looking to take control, completes the pass.
Hits the front. Yermak now chasing the Gdansk native, Nicola Mazur, who was on home ice last weekend. All the Polish skaters got really warm ovations. The home crowd came out, some dressed as hussars. And everybody together still as we go inside 3 to go.
Yermek doing a great job covering the inside lane, blocking off any looks at an inside pass. You can see her on the inside shoulder of Mazur there as Mazur comes out of the corner.
Bakskai trying to make a move for third, and she... Oh, goodness. Everybody's fine. It's just another scary incident where the blades were up and 2 skaters went into the corner. That's what I was reacting on. So that will get a review. Mazur wins, Yermak second, and it's just we have not seen 2 early collisions like that before, let alone 1.
Well, another close one there. I think it caught Bakskai in the helmet there. But what you're trying to do when you're going down in the fall is you don't want to go in feet first into another athlete. So you do want to get your feet up so your feet don't go into them. However, Bakskai was kind of sitting up a little bit, so her head was a little bit raised, and I think she just clipped in the back of the helmet.
Thumbs up. We saw a few clips of the helmet. We saw it was Natalia Malashevska going in with Kristen Santos Griswold. She actually got a dent in it and came back out with just essentially some black tape over it. But yeah, there is that danger. As Tyler mentioned, they go boots up, and I think she was trying to get the boots up and over, but just clip the top of the head. So again, thank you for all the safety equipment that is there.
Well, just another good reminder why these skaters got to wear all this safety equipment, from cut-resistant suits and helmets. And
Final decision, we have a penalty from number 52 from Hungary.
And so it is Beksky who's trying to make that move into third, getting penalized. There's no advancement on Jansson. It also didn't help that Beksky was sort of already kind of on hands and knees, and her head was already up when those blades were coming towards her too. But there's the penalty there. And results are confirmed. And so let's just see here. Out of third place, Holly Hoyland moving on from heat number 1. Alina Ashgalieva from number 2. Lam Qingyan from heat number 5. And so then we have the advancements of Hyo Jin Kim. And that makes up, that was 4. And so that brings us to our first ice resurfacing break of the day. On the other side, we will get going with the men's 1,500-meter heats. That comes up in about 15.5 minutes time. So catch a break. You've certainly earned it already. Exciting action from here in Dordrecht.
Hij vriest vanzelf vast. Maar het vriest vanzelf vast. Ja, maar dat kan dan wel een probleem worden. Even naar de wisser.
first and second place skater from this race up to a maximum of 2 fastest third place skaters will qualify for the quarterfinals. Dus nummer 1 en 2 gaan meteen door en de tweede tijdsnelste nummer 3. Als we geen toevoeging hebben, voor de rest niet zijn en de nare vlakkentalent. Een advancement heeft dat in soort elkaar. Want die gaat weer van die snelste tweede plek af. Maar goed, hoeveel minuten onthouden wij nemen hem mee en gaan we jullie vertellen. En straks is het race nummer 9 van de tweede aanbod, dus de eerste is van de 1500 meter. En in de tweede race van de 1500 meter hebben we al over de race en jullie natuurlijk al. Als je dat maar natuurlijk, speciaal extra aanbouwen in de bal zetten. En dat is weer de vierde aanbouw. En zo is het. Kijk, deze bal is er.
The lights back up, just about ready to get back into the action. And yeah, the kids pretty much filling up that one big grandstand on one of the ends, making for a fun atmosphere, getting into the music as well. Men's 1500 meter heats coming up. There are 10 in total. And then the first 2 skaters from each race and up to 2 fastest third place skaters qualify for the quarterfinals. There's Michał Nowinski, Peter Riches, Benson Ogrady, Robin Bendig, Yaroslav Morozov, Metehan Atan, and Maxim Maximov. And so Hussar, Royal, Falcon, Wolf, Wildcat, Anatolian Par, and King. And there is Michał Nowinski on home ice last weekend in Gdansk. Still trying to find that form we know he has. One of the great personalities on tour. But he is hoping his progression continues into this final weekend here in Dordrecht.
Go to the start. Right.
And so a lot of guys in this heat on the fringes of those qualifying spots. The British Royals have a couple of spots close to that top 36 in the men's 1500 meters. So Riches will hope to shore that up.
They're currently holding the 36th position, the last position of the Olympic Games qualification spots.
Riches, his helmet designer, I've mentioned it a few times. The Maverick design, the guy who designed that helmet came up to me in Gdansk and went, which is the one you probably point out the most? And I said, Maverick. And I said, because it's so easy to spot. You know who's in the race, especially when they're at top speed. The designer, man named Matt, a skater in the UK. As we start to see the increased designs. Of course, it's Itzhak Dalat designing the Crystal Globe helmets, but we're seeing more and more out there as Riches himself hits the front.
Well, Michał Nowinski with a little outside-inside movement in third position. But on the outside comes Atan.
And Nowinski and Atan compressed for third and fourth. It is still Ogrady on the front.
Riches taking control, dropping an arm, accelerating the pace a little bit.
And now Riches on the front. Nowinski up to third. Move coming on the inside as Bendig takes a look. And now Atan battles back to get fourth. It's still Riches, Ogrady, and Nowinski. Remember, just top 2 automatically moving on.
Nowinski looking comfortable in third position. Ogrady jumping up to the lead.
Now Nowinski makes it look easy on the inside ahead of Riches. 1 to go. Ogrady And Niewinski 1 and 2. Is there a battle back from Riches, trying to look for an opening? Niewinski, he's a big guy to get around though, and it looks like he will move on through to the quarterfinals. I don't think anything's getting a review, but good skate for Benson Nogrady winning that one. Michał Niewinski in second. And yeah, of course, got to give a wave to the kids. There are some Polish fans there, a couple Polska scarves up in attendance.
Well, a really nice skate from Nogrady here. He just controlled the race from the front. You always found him near the lead position. If any moves were happening, repositioning himself towards the lead, pushing that pace, making the others battle it out behind him. Well skated.
And those results have been made official. Nogrady, Niewinski through Riches. We'll have to note 2:22, 4:62. And so remember, just 2 fastest third place skaters, and when there are 10, those could disappear pretty quickly if there are any advancements. Heat number 2. Wait for the ovation. The first Dutch Lion is on the ice. It'll be Friso Emons, Oleg Hande, Nathan Thomas, Ivan Martinic, Luka Jasic, Rio Ong, and Ernestas Čech. For the Dutch side this weekend, Itzhak Dalat has been drawn back in. Dan Koss still nursing a back injury. Originally he was on and then he was off.
Oh, the energy is in the building. Friso Even's going to be feeling that.
And the revving of the engine anytime a Dutch skater will be towing the line. I imagine that zoom zoom sound effect will get used up quite a bit this weekend.
Red.
Our Dutch colleagues for the racing this weekend, they'll have a full sort of studio setup around the ice, and they were preparing for a noisy weekend, and we got a first little taste of it right there. Martinic getting to the front, and then out of Zagreb. Just to note, Friso Emons, the top-seeded skater, ranked 20th in the world in this distance, but Oleg Hande, every single race we call, he is one to watch, never shy from animating, making a move. Nathan Thomas now for the Hussars on the front.
Friso Emons responding right back to Nathan Thomas, regaining the lead.
Ernestas Čech getting into 5th. For the Lithuanian side, Martinic battling back. Lithuanian Bison, one of the new identities this season. But Emons, quick check over the shoulder.
Well, I like to see Emons here controlling the front. He wants to stay out of trouble. Things can get real messy in these early rounds of qualifying. And as I say that, Oleg Hande goes down. The contact from Jasic.
Jasic was trying to go around the outside, but the contact was made. That, of course, will get a review. Oftentimes, we could also see that shared responsibility where there's only so much space on the ice. One kid skater trying to go right, one going to left, and their blades hit. But we will take a look, obviously, at what happened there after the race as Jasic makes a look for second on Thomas. Nothing there, though.
That's the advantage of making sure you're in a qualifying position when those incidents do happen, so at least you have some protection. That's why you want to work to be in the lead. As Friso Emons skates away a little bit, spreading out the field.
It's completely split apart now. Thomas hanging in second. And then there's a bit of a gap to Jasic. And it will be Friso Emons going through, and the home fans are delighted. So we will get a look at that incident. Thomas up for second. Yeah, so I think those two don't have much to worry about, but here's the incident. And one going right, one going left. But
so this is where it's hard to sell. Is Ole Honde just taking a wide entry to try to set up a pass to build some speed? Or is he looking to make that block? But I don't see any movement of the head. I don't see anything that's kind of distinctually telling me that he's trying to make that contact or make that block. I think he was naturally looking for a wider entry to maybe build some speed and then makes that contact. So we'll see what the officials get from this. But that was in that position 3. So possible advancements from that spot as it's a time entry position.
But they are looking at a possible shared responsibility. Looks like the decisions have been made as they punch in those results. And so that's when, if you are new to the sport and brushing up ahead of the Olympics, shared responsibility is when nobody gets penalized. There's some fault going both ways.
Final decision. No penalty for shared responsibility between skater number 51 Ukraine and number 136 Serbia.
And so the note we got, Hyundai went a bit wide and Jasic took the corner slightly tight. And there's only so much space out there.
No, exactly it. And I think Hyundai, if again you watch, he's not really looking over. If you're watching his head, he's not just instinctually looking for that block. He's just setting up a wide track entry to maybe build some speed in the turn, and it's just there's that contact happens as Jasic is trying to come around the outside.
And so the third place time, Jasic at 2:18.469. That is a little bit quicker than Peter Rich's from heat number 1, a couple seconds quicker. And so despite the contact, he sets a pretty decent time. So often,
I think that the time is not half bad, to be honest with you. I don't think a lot of these races are going to be thinking about time. So that 2:18, well, typically not a super fast 1500. When you don't have the pressure for time, you'll see them a bit more in those 2:20s. So again, though, lots of opportunity for advancement.
Especially once we know if those times are still on the table. Those final few heats could be dashes off, and off we go here. It is Zungbo Hao, Daniil Nikolaevs, Denik Sepal, Denis Aida-Petyan, Eirik Andersen, Martin Prantl, and Chonlachard Tapram. Tapram, just a young cohort of Thai skaters, 18 years of age from just outside Bangkok. Got started. There's an actual international training center in Bangkok. It's certified as an ISU training center, and so as we found, there is ice there, and there's a training facility, and that's, I would imagine, where they're going to host the Southeast Asian Games. Andersen hitting the front. That young cohort of Norwegian short trackers coming up together.
Tapram trying to respond on the outside.
Picking up right now. Norwegians, a lot of kids go into distance skating, and so they face the task of convincing kids interested in speed skating. One, short track, also long track, but sprinting.
Well, Andersen's really pushing the pace up front now. You can see him opening up a bit of a gap.
Perhaps sensing that time is always a possibility.
But you don't want to put in unnecessary effort. You don't want to work too hard too early in the 1500. You have to have the legs for the finish. You need speed in the final lap, so you can't exhaust yourself too early in the race.
Is that our term that we created? Tactical laziness?
Tactical laziness sometimes is key, is, you know, pushing at the right time. And now Nikolaev jumps out to the front.
And here comes Zhang going into second.
Well, Zhang was just so patient in the back of this race the whole time. You weren't even really noticing him out there. And just a beautiful outside maneuver. And these two skaters are now running away with it.
Andersen gritting his teeth. He's scrapping. He's trying to stay close to Aida-Petyan in third. But the gap is opening up, and it really is two skaters in cruise control off the front. They get a chance for a bit of a victory lap. Nikolaev and Zhang going 1-2. Aida-Petyan does get up to third with a 2:22.06. And so that is ahead of Peter Rich's, and so that time will likely get bumped. But Andersen picked it up early, but Those guys behind him timing it right.
Yeah, I think for Anderson, that move was just a little too soon in the race. Created some separation. The pack wasn't reacting yet. They just kind of relaxed, calmly pulled him back in, and then just chewed him right up.
So the 1,500-meter quarterfinals that these guys will be going for go as part of the Saturday morning repechage program. Just realizing it. There's no windows in here. Everything's sealed up, and it makes it feel like it's nighttime. And we're just after noon. And so those results are confirmed. Aida Petyan's time at 2:22.048 now on the bubble. Jasic still in pole position as far as those third place times goes. You see the results confirmed. Heat number 4 has Reynes Berzins, Nico Anderman, Lai Tsai Huan Chen, Nurtulat Kajgali, Stefan Alexander Kumurjev, Jonathan Roskenblek, and Adam Amar Azvar Aslan of Malaysia. Nikolaev making some kids' days. And so there's the start list. The Golden Star, the Austrian, the Blue Magpie, the Nomad, the King, the Wolf, and the out of Malaysia. So 2 teams which don't have identities, at least just yet.
Go to the start. Red.
So look at a guy like Lai Tsai. He does all the races, but his 500s and his 1000s just aren't there. But this is where he is something of an interesting prospect. He picked up a 33rd in the 1,500 meters last weekend, and then in week number 1 in Montreal, a 31st. And so he's one of those guys who could be hovering around the bubble. His weekend number 2 in Montreal was not something to write home about, but puts together a good weekend, and you just never know with some of these guys. But of course, we look at the likes of Berzins, the 24-year-old out of Riga, as the one to watch in this race. Anderman, the man from Vienna, also one to watch. But there is Lai Tsai on the front.
Well, Lai Tsai is currently 39th in the 1,500-meter ranking there. So as you mentioned, Gavin, just on the outside, looking into those top 36, wanting a big weekend here in Dordrecht.
But then, yeah, because they throw out that worst result, which was weekend number 2, and so that sort of changes the complexion even more. And he's on the front right now. Berzin's behind him.
Yeah, if you can pick up a better finishing result, you throw out your worst one, you got a shot. Anderman moving up into position 4. He's a battler out there. He's a racer. Watch him to mix things up.
And Berzins made his senior level debut in 2017. His individual medals, which came a few years ago, did come in the 1,500. And he's shown flashes of that form. The man who came 15th in the Beijing Olympics 4 years ago, Berzins. But now Kajgali is behind him.
Andermoon jumping up into 3rd position.
And then the battle for 4th as Roskenblek gets up into 4th. And now Kajgali hits the front with 1 to go.
Great move from Kajgali. I love him pushing for that lead position here.
And it will be Nurtulat Kajgali ahead of Reynes Berzins, Nico Anderman with a 2:19.93. And so that will bump him ahead of Dennis Aida Petyan for the 3rd place time. All the while, Thomas Jasic still safe for the moment. If you're wondering, the Bellew here, it's a different sounding. It's not your usual ding-ding. It's been a few times in the Netherlands where it sounds like a school bell. And we walked by it yesterday, and I was very tempted to push the button, but I'm sure someone would have yelled at me.
Can confirm it basically is a school bell.
Essentially, yeah. So all the kids in attendance know that they're not having to dash back to class. They're here to watch at least this morning session. I'm not sure if they'll stick around for the whole day. Qualifying days can be long. They're helping us zip right along. Not long left in the morning session. And the results are confirmed, and so Anderman with a 2:19.927. That is the new bubble time. And heat number 5 is on the ice. There will be 6 skaters in all. There will be a did not start Lin Chun-Che out of the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpies on the ice. Stan de Smet, Lucas Henry Koo, Daniil Aibog, Adil Galiakhmatov, Sean McAnuff, and Tinius Rambol Alma. There you go. Belgian Ice Bear, Brazilian Bluebird, Uzbek Cobra, Kazakh Nomad, Irish Wolfhound, and a Norwegian Viking. Desmet not far from home. We're very close to the Belgian border.
Well, there's a couple Belgian flags over here in the crowd.
Go to the start. Right.
We got one day off, some of us did, on Tuesday after we arrived here in the Netherlands, and I made that quick trip over into Belgium because when it's that close and that easy, I cannot refuse to call. So I went into Antwerp for the afternoon, and a lovely city. And it is Tinius Rambol Alma on the front, but unlike his teammate Eric Anderson, not driving the tempo just yet. So watching Stan de Smet, and I think Adil Galiakhmatov also noticing it there. So often the battle is for the slipstream of the person who's favored in the race.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to have their eyes on Stan de Smet. Lucas Henry Koo now making his move around the outside. Daniil Aibog responding.
So now it picks up a little bit, and it's McAnuff who was watching de Smet. And now Galiakhmatov slots in behind. We were there in Tilburg a year ago when McAnuff qualified for a World Tour session. And if you're wondering what I mean by all that, that's when the races for the medals on Saturday and Sunday afternoons as Aibog gets up behind McAnuff with 5 to go. Watching Aibog up the inside, de Smet trying to wind it up on the outside.
Well, de Smet just flying around the outside here, going to move right to the lead position.
And Galiakhmatov, the veteran, following behind him. And de Smet just easing off the front. Looking very, very comfortable in his preferred event. 3 to go.
This is one of our quicker races here. Oh, Aibog just staying on his feet. Lucas Henry Koo's going to want to keep pushing, though, if he wants to get that time.
Aibog just dropping the speed out of the corner and kept on his skates, but all the speed was gone. And de Smet under a bit of pressure with Galiakhmatov, and Koo will get up to third.
I got ahead of myself in the times. I thought we had 1 lap less. I was watching the clock. Sorry if I got you excited on the time there.
There was a slow start, remember, yeah. And so it really is just the top 2. Another clean race, nothing getting reviewed, but just the slower start means third place will not be one of them. So each lap, as each race keeps going, Luka Jasic sitting as the faster third place, a bit more comfortable, but all it takes is 1 penalty to change everything. Sorry, you were looking at that.
Yeah, there was just that very tight inside pass from Koo on Aibog there that just kind of bumped Aibog out. But it's one of the management in a race. You kind of have to, at a moment, realize, okay, this pass is, he's completing the pass. If I try to squeeze him out, I may lose my footing. I may actually slow myself down. And sometimes it takes, you know, the more experienced skater to identify that opportunity and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to relinquish that position. I'm going to rebuild. But if you try to squeeze it out, you can really dump a lot of speed. So that's one thing that you kind of separate the top skaters from those who are kind of on the cusp, is that awareness of when to let a pass go or when to try to really close it off.
And so heat number 6 now out on the ice. Etienne Bastier. It was in the Netherlands a year ago where he sort of announced his presence when he debuted, getting all the way to the B final in the 1500 meters in Tilburg. So alongside him, Theo Collins, Fredrik Pedersen, Timofey Kokelko, Wara Noiron, Asen Gurov, and Monk Erdenbeleg.
Go to the start. Red.
Pedersen will be interesting in this one. A week ago, he picked up a 30th in the 1500, and so the first couple results were not, I would say, in those qualifying spots, but if he can get that or higher, then the calculation becomes all that more interesting. But a lot riding on this race, and when they're standing up like that, like Gurov is at the front, this is not a race for time. It is really tough to handicap this one. Apart from Bastier, maybe Collins, the skaters around are all comparatively ranked.
Well, it's interesting, you see Kokelko here coming down the straightaway. There's a massive screen at the end. Skaters are using that screen early in the race to see what's happening behind them in the pack. You can kind of watch their eyes drift up to see who else is making a move. It adds an interesting dynamic to the race when you have that kind of an extra set of eyes, or eyes in the back of your head, if you will. We see that again from Noiron as he comes down the straightaway. The eyes just kind of glancing up.
They get to look essentially at what you see on your screen. So yeah, if you're coming down that straightaway and you have that right shot, you could almost have a look at who's on your shoulder.
Well, it's great. You can see if anyone's winding up on the outside from the back, so it gives you that extra opportunity to respond.
Nice. It's Bastier, pardon me, in third. Collins still on the front, Noiron behind him as we go inside 5. Pedersen taking a look on the inside, deciding against it. And now there's a chance to split this apart. Collins and Bastier driving the tempo. Noiron struggling to stay with it. Pedersen, if he wants to get up into third, he'll have to close a gap up to second. But it really is these two right now. Bastier, Collins, 1 to go. And they are comfortable. Pedersen does get around into third, but the gap had opened up, and Bastier, Collins comfortably through. And it's another race that time is not playing much of a factor. As we look back, Bastier, small fist pump as he's into the quarterfinals. Collins joining him.
Little smile, little, you know, I've done my job here and built some confidence off that race.
So there are 4 races still to come. A couple interesting prospects. As So you'll get the confirmed results. Bastier and Collins going through in the end, making it look quite comfortable. And into heat number 7. Chinese Lung, Li Wenlong, Felix Pigeon, who was one of the real animators a week ago in Gdansk. He's had a season where he's getting up into the mix, not afraid to throw hands, so to speak, with rivals who are perhaps higher up the standings. Liam O'Brien, the other Irish Wolfhound, Liu Shucheng, Tibor Komoricki, Su Jinpeng, and Jakob Karabin. So a Chinese Lung, a Polish Hussar, an Irish Wolfhound, a Hong Kong Ice Chilin, the lone Slovenian Goldhorn, the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpie, and the Slovakian Ice Deer.
Go to the start. Right.
And we'll see. Sometimes it was a week ago where if there was anyone who was trying to jump up and get a lap, it was the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpies, but not going to happen that time.
No. Well, another relaxed start to this race, not going for time here. Li Wenlong and Felix Pigeon, definitely the skaters to walk back in positions 5 and 6.
So it's Li keeping an eye on Pigeon right now. You never know, their tactics, they could get wrong. They could get preoccupied watching each other while other skaters break away. So far, just the mounting tension with every single lap. It is still Su Jinpeng on the front, Liam O'Brien.
Pigeon now setting up wide. Li Wenlong, let's watch to see if he's going to follow along. He is.
That is the case. The Hussar leading the Lung, and Su realizing the danger, tries to get up there, and
well, Li Wenlong had to kind of back out of his outside pass. He thought there might be an incident. He was trying to steer clear, but dropped him back in position. And that's kind of the downside. If you're a skater who's trying to follow somebody else on an outside move, the pack will respond. There'll be movement, and you can get trapped when you're that second skater on the outside.
And there will be a review of that coming together, all the traffic there, but in the end, Pigeon does hit the front with Li behind him, and Komoricki is trying to stay in that slipstream as there's a real battle for third coming. And Li up the inside for the lead.
You can see how relaxed Felix Pigeon is in position number 2. You can see Komoricki driving the arms just passed by Liu, but Pigeon in full control of second position there.
And Li will take the race. Pigeon second, Liu Shucheng in third. Again, the time not quick enough for one of the third place times. And we're nearing that stage where those, at least the first place time, could be almost secure. So we will see what the review is for. Everybody did come through it. Nobody did fall. And so it's O'Brien making the move. There's a bump there, and Li
that was the
stuck
review
outside.
there.
Yeah.
And that's where Li on the outside was almost caught up in that trouble. You could see him just dump the speed. Got to stay on my feet here before working his way to the lead of the race.
Never really too troubled, though, was he?
No, he wasn't. And you see Pigeon here, this is what I was talking about earlier. When you know the pass is happening and you have that awareness to say, okay, you know what, I'll step wide, you take it, I'm comfortable. I'm not going to try to make a desperate close. And that's what the experienced skaters will do. They'll know when they've been beaten on a pass or not, and when to try to close it or when to try to hold it.
And so what they are looking at is possible shared responsibility. which would mean no change to it. And yeah, in the end, there's not even, oh, there is, one moment.
Final decision, no penalty for shared responsibility between number 143 Chinese Taipei and number 103 Ireland.
So there you go. It's Lee and Pigeon going through, just a shared responsibility. So no change to the time, but we'll get another look at it here. The bumping, they're pretty level as they enter the corner, is my
Yeah, both skaters kind of, one moving from outside to in, one moving a little inside to out, just challenging for positions, is just good racing.
One of the things we established last week was there were two skaters, when it was slow motion, 5 seconds, shoulder to shoulder, it was a pretty good sign that it was going to be shared responsibility. We counted. And heat number 8 already on the ice. Peter Jasapati of the Hungarian Falcons to be his Wolf of Austria. Warren Van Dam of the Belgian Ice Bears. The one Duke, so it's the Duke, Peter Murphy of Luxembourg. Maurice Janis Sternmanis of the Latvian Golden Stars. Pudapat Chiangmai of the Thai Elephants, and Shin Dong Min of the Korean White Tigers. Shin all the way out in position 7 in the second line, because he's not a guy who's entered in the 1500 meters terribly often. But we established that until there are more Dukes entered for Luxembourg, there is only one. Peter Murphy is the Duke. Another one where the pace is not too quick. And so if I'm Luka Jasic sitting, yes, it's a slow start. Yes, your time could be safe, but then you can't quite sit comfortably, can you, where you think of one penalty, and that's all she wrote.
Well, with every lap that goes by, he feels a little more confident right now. And Murphy, the first to make a move here, push for the lead.
Coming all the way around the outside, and not to be outdone. Remember, Nico Anderman, a 2:19.927 is our second 1500 meter time, and it is Murphy and Sternmanis. Keep an eye out for Jasapati in third.
Shin Dong-min going around the outside. Jasapati jumping up into the lead, but Shin Dong-min carrying more speed.
And Anderman, Wolf is following him, but Jasapati has that inside line. Oh, and Murphy and Sternmanis coming together. They're both okay. So that will get a look. It wasn't in one of those potential advancement positions, mind you. And there is Van Dam getting up into third. Wolf trying to battle back. And he does. He gets it right back again. Now the door open for Chiangmai to get up into fourth.
Jasapati now striking on the outside. Is it there? Might go inside. No.
Jasapati, anytime you see him on the ice, he just keeps this expressionless. He's just so focused. He never really gives anything away. It is Shin. And now this race really getting fractured. It's a battle for 3. One more to go with Shin Dong-min, the first White Tiger we see today. And he and Jasapati will go 1-2, and Tobias Wolf will go third with the 2:27.86. And so, barring any review drama, our 2 sitting in third place will survive another race.
It was the one incident, but it was further back in the pack, not a qualification position, so I don't expect to see any advancements.
That was early, but Jasapati and Shin both moved around. And then here it is.
Murphy on the inside.
Looks like he lost some balance going into it.
I think it may be a slight contact from behind that just put him on his heels to lose balance. And Sternmanis there on the outside gets caught up in it.
So they will now dive in to take a look. I take a look, if this takes a moment, we can go into heat number 9, 2 to go. Liu Jianxuo of the Hong Kong Ice Chillins, Gleb Ivchenko of the Kazakh Nomads, Lucas Wareham of the Australian Racing Roos, Furkan Akar of the Turkish Anatolian Pars, Lucas McDonald, the lone New Zealand Ice Kia, Radek Fajkus of the Czech Ice Spiders, and Timeo Lebeau making his World Tour debut for the French Roosters as we look back at the incident. So I do wonder if you mentioned possible lost bounce. There is a block there that comes off as well.
And then just the hand on the backside there of Murphy from Van Dam, and just that, I think that's just what maybe set him off a little bit. It wasn't an aggressive hand push at all, but it doesn't take much when you're leading and you're going that quick around a turn to set you off.
So there he is liaising with the review room.
But it's kind of a domino effect there of Van Dam trying to protect his position, then run up on Murphy, who then goes down and takes out Sturmanis.
He's punched in the results. And it looks like we will get a ruling shortly.
Final decision, penalty, number 118, Luxembourg.
So there is a penalty to Murphy on that. And no advancement, because as we noted, it was not in those positions. So here it is, failure to give way is the ruling.
Just too late up the inside.
So it looks like that little tap came after the initial contact,
Yep.
shoulder to shoulder with Sturmanis. So there you go, doesn't affect the top two, Shin and Yasapati. Moving on to the quarterfinals. Heat number 9, as I mentioned at the start list.
Okay, heat 9. I was looking at heat 10 there.
Get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. I was like, I was waiting for the roar of the crowd for Itzhak Talat, but he's not out yet.
Go to the start. Right.
So as I mentioned, a World Tour debut for Timeo Lebeau, as the French Roosters keep adding. It's almost like a newcomer every single week. Lebeau does have a World Cup medal at the junior circuit this year. He has a silver medal in the 1500 meters as they had back-to-back weekends in Kazakhstan. And so the man from Orléans, 18 years of age, getting his World Tour debut for the French Roosters as he's sitting on the back, but on the front, Radek Fajkus of the Czech Ice Spiders. And again, the two third-place guys must be sitting there going, okay, another race with a slow start. Just let's not have any drama, and I'll survive another heat.
Well, Lebeau taking the early lead in this race. I like this strategy. When it's slow, take advantage of the pace to get up towards the front. Young junior skater, maybe full of confidence here. I like to see it, and an opportunity to gain some experience at the World Tour stage. And again, you know, these competitors won't have raced against him before, so it was a bit of an unknown. Now Lucas Wareham going.
The man from Warunga. Lucas deciding it's a bit too slow and it's time for him to pick it up. And Ivchenko.
A bit of a contact there from Ivchenko.
So keep an eye out. Liu and Ivchenko are very closely ranked in the world rankings. But Liu is drifting to the back, and he's the seeded skater in this race.
Well, Furkan Akar, too, has that finishing speed as he works his way up the inside. It's been a slower start, so that could play to his advantage. He has that top-end velocity. Ivchenko on the outside, making a bump.
Now it really kicks off. Akar made a big breakthrough in the 500 meters, reaching believe the B final in Gdansk a week ago, and now he's up into third. Now he chases Zivchenko. Here comes Liu as well. The man from Hong Kong, China, into second with a nice move. And oh, he can't hold it. Unfortunate for Liu Jianshuo. He made the move, but he just lost it coming out of the corner, and Zivchenko gets a bit of a victory lap as Wareham as well goes down as he goes into Libo, and can't stop looking everywhere you go on the ice. There's something happening.
Well, very interesting. Both Lucas Wareham and Liu Jianshuo on the exit of this turn here, getting back on their heels. You can see them just spinning out, the feet coming up. The officials are pointing over to do a quick check on that ice, because when you see that happen twice in one race, maybe it's an indication that the ice is getting a little bit chewed there. You can see the rut forming just after the apex of the corner.
There is plenty of wear in this ice. It just has one more.
Let's watch here. Here's the outside move. Liu Jianshuo coming around just there, getting back on the left heel. And Lucas Wareham gets the same thing, back on the left heel, just whoop, out from underneath you.
I could almost hear the whoop when he slipped up into the air.
When you see those falls, though, it really highlights the G-forces that these skaters are working against and how much force they're up against to turn so tight. And when they do lose control of it, it just sends you out.
Physics strikes again. The wily devil. One day, they will be beaten. Heat number 9, Zivchenko in a car going through. And so for a skater like Liu, will have the repechage to try to battle back. And just wait for the ovation. The great Itzhak Dalat, skater, artist extraordinaire, will be in this final heat along with Mohamed Bozdag, Simon Bastier of the French Roosters, Tariq Omeragic of the Bosnia-Herzegovina Lynx, Martin Kolitz of the Croatian Dalmatians, Raphael Murray of the Swiss Ibex, and Raphael Schlosserek of the German Wolves. As the home nation, Dalat, back on the side this week, gets his introduction.
Go to the start. Right.
So these Dutch Lions, the selection for all those spots as Raphael Murray fires it off, picking it up early. But I was just saying, the Dutch Lions, they have national championships just after the new year, but before the Europeans. And so it won't determine who gets the spots, but it will factor in as well. And so we haven't seen Shinky Connect on World Tour this season. He's had a glute injury, but he's keeping his fingers crossed, doing what he can to maybe get race fit, to see if he can't be back in the discussion for those spots. But the Dutch side, Tyler, deep, deep, deep.
Yeah, there's all that kind of a challenge when you send a set of skaters to qualify spots for the Olympic Games, and then they're putting in a lot of time racing while other skaters remain at home, and they get the advantage of training and building through towards a later trials. And sometimes that upsets the team order because the skaters in qualified positions are too tired from all the World Tour that they've competed in. And that's where you see different nations, different countries doing different selection processes and timing to balance that out. But Itzhak Dalat jumping to the front.
Dalat to the front. What is particularly interesting with this Dutch side is that just after Christmas is the long track selection trials, and we've seen the likes of Angel Dahlman and Susanne Schulting on as alternates in short track. And then there's the extra dynamic. If they maybe don't make that long track team out of those trials, could they come in for those national championships and say, hey, don't forget about me? Just interesting how teams make their choices. But Itzhak Dalat and Mohamed Bozdag, 1 and 2. Watch out for Simon Bastier as well.
Itzhak Dalat keeping the exits tight, a little bit of a wider deep track entry so he can exit to block the inside lane from anyone looking for an inside pass. If you're going to want to get by him, I think you're going to have to look outside.
And Bozdag keeping Bastier at bay. It will be Dalat on the front with a 2:25.9, just looking. Bastier at 2:27.6. That was the closest we've seen. But Nico Andermann, just waiting for the results to be confirmed, could be through from heat number 4 as that second fastest third place time. And Luka Jasic, all the way back from heat number 1, could also be joining him into the quarterfinals. But Delat winning this one. Getting up for second. So Bosdag looking like he will join as well. And so there's the revs. As he will go through. And it's Delat, Mohamed Bosdag confirmed. And so yes, the 2 third-place times moving in. Luka Jasic, Nico Andermann into the quarterfinals on Saturday. As you see who has qualified. And thank you again for joining us after the break delay. The brief delay this morning. We now head into our lunch break, which I believe will be a bit shorter because of that delay, but keep an eye out for the afternoon session. However you may be watching us, races will resume at 2:27, and so that is about 40 minutes from now, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, just over 40 minutes from now, we will be back with the heats for the women's 1,000 meters, the men's 500-meter preliminaries, and the men's 1,500-meter quarterfinals part of the program. Of course, lots more to come after that. So that wraps up our morning from here in Dordrecht at the Omnisport Sport Boulevard in Dordrecht. On behalf of Tyler Dara, the man beside me, and the entire crew putting this all together, keep an eye out for the resumption. We will catch some lunch or grab some lunch and then catch you on the other side. See you soon.